Good afternoon and welcome to an edition of the Real Deals Talks. Today I am with Sharif El-Gamal. He's the founder and CEO of Soho Properties, a very active developer in the New York region. And Sharif, first of all, thank you for being with us.
I'm absolutely delighted to be with you, Hitan, as always.
Tell me a little bit about what you're going through right now. So the city and the country and the world is being rocked by this pandemic, and it's affecting everything from our economy to our healthcare system to pretty much everything you can think of. However, for you, it's also a little more personal than that. So can you tell us about your story? And we thank you for sharing it with us.
Yeah, no. So I got diagnosed with the virus, and through the blessings of God, I'm almost 100% better. Which is I'm one of the blessed people that was able to get through this with very little side effects. It's very surreal what we're hearing about and the levels of people that are passing away regularly right now. So I'm very grateful to God that my incident was not on the upper scale of things.
How did you find out? So, Sharif, you just started feeling, we know that testing has been hard to come by. We know that some people have experienced symptoms but have no idea what's going on. How did you find out this was happening to you, and how did you feel when you got the diagnosis?
It's ironic. I consider myself today a global citizen, not just a New Yorker. I'm constantly on a plane, and the last month I'd been in Saudi Arabia. I was in Turkey. I was in the Grand Caymans. I was also with you guys in Nassau, and then right after Nassau, I ended up going to Vail skiing, and then I came back home, and I'd been on the road for a couple of weeks. And when I got in, I immediately came into the office, and I put in a very long day, and I went home, and I had a feeling of fatigue that overtook me. A fatigue like I've never felt before. Okay. I didn't have any other symptoms except I felt a fatigue where my body was losing control of its strength. It was very different than any other ailment that I've ever felt. And so I went to sleep that night.
You're a pretty active guy, right?
I'm very active. Yeah. And so I went to sleep that night and, pushed myself again in the morning, woke up again feeling so, unlike any feeling that I've had of just pure fatigue. Pushed myself, got into the office, must have drank, half a dozen espressos and just plowed through the day. But then when I was going home, then it hit me like a ton of bricks at around 9 o'clock the next day after 2 days of this feeling. And I remember going to sleep and waking up with tremendous chills, fever, and my wife got really concerned and said, "Listen, you got to go get tested. You got to go get tested." So I ended up going to a Northwell urgent care center. Okay, and they refused to test me.
Right, that's what I imagined.
They said, that I don't really qualify for the test, and I said, okay. I didn't argue. I was happy, they looked at me and they said that I was fatigued, that I needed rest. And so then I found out, I went back home, and then I ended up finding out that my wife reached out to my sister, who lives in Istanbul, who's a political activist, and she's a very interesting person, Jasmine El-Gamal. Mm-hmm. And so she ended up putting a tweet on Twitter that ended up getting over 27,000 retweets. And Friday morning when I woke up, the governor's office had called my house and said, "Listen, we will give you a test." And so I ended up getting the test. And apparently, when I went in on Thursday, they also tested me, but they said that they didn't test me. So it was a little bizarre at that point. So I ended up getting that test on the Thursday and on the Friday, and I'm very close with the founder of City MD. Okay,
Mhm.
so the founder of City MD, Dr. Faz Khan, okay, is one of my dearest friends, and I'm sure you've heard of City MD, and probably everybody has at this point. But so he started the whole business, and so I called him up on Saturday, and I said to him, I haven't been feeling well, and he's starting a new business actually. So I went to his new wellness facility that he's starting, and he then spent about an hour explaining to me what this COVID-19 is and what have you. So literally at that point, when I went through this full explanation with Dr. Khan, okay, I kind of felt like I had a dummies for COVID explanation that he had given me. My phone rang at literally that moment with the lady from Northwell about to give me my result. And when I realized now, she was giving, and I'd never gotten a test of this sort before where, calling to get your result. And so she called me, and I picked up the phone, and she said, listen, I'm about to give you your test results. And so I said, okay, please give them to me. And I feel that she was a little surprised by my reaction when I found out that I was negative, but I really owe it to Dr. Faz Khan, who gave me this.
You were positive. You were positive for the.
Yeah, I was positive for the COVID, and but it just so happened that I just went through this whole download on it.
Yeah.
And, really through the blessings of God, I'm one of the lucky ones.
So what did you tell, how have you dealt with keeping your family safe from it? I don't know how that works. I mean, are they isolated? What have you told your team and your staff? Because there's been a lot of, questions about whether when one person in a company has it, what happens to the company? We've seen pretty much everyone's working from home now. But how did you deal with it with your staff? Or, it's an active development firm, and you like to be pretty hands-on in general, knowing you. So how did you?
No, we unfortunately, I think, 6 people in my office got it. And one of them ended up getting hospitalized. Thank God he got out of the hospital yesterday. But we pretty much shut down my office as soon as I knew that I had it. Yeah. I shut down my office. There was a lot of the senior team here. We had a robust call and really tried to understand it. We're a small team of 20 people, but it was still very important for us to immediately safeguard our team and what have you.
So 6 out of 20 people at Soho Properties contracted the virus.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
No, this thing is very contagious. This is the real deal. I hate to use this.
Yeah.
But this is a real pandemic. This is a very. I don't think there's any conspiracy theories here. This is a real virus. This is a real thing that's going on right now. And from my perspective, once I got diagnosed with it, I was quarantined in my bedroom. I did not leave my bedroom, for almost.
Could you see your kids? You couldn't see your kids or anything, right?
Yeah, I mean, probably for the first 5 days, I think we should. It was very difficult, but thank God that I'm blessed. I'm blessed.
And so, what happens? I mean, in how active were you able to be once you knew you had this and you were isolated? You took the necessary precautions. How active were you able to be in your business? Because you have a couple of active sites right now, and they're not small projects. Right? I'm thinking of 567. That's a serious project. You're probably dealing with sales and all that at 45. So. What is the status of those projects? I mean, everything is essentially shut down that's non-essential in New York. But how are you dealing with all that? I'm sorry?
Friday, my business is officially shut down.
Okay.
Friday, my business, my project, it's very nerve-wracking right now.
And what kind of conversations are you having then with lenders? I mean, aren't lenders being, let's say, accommodating, understanding of what's going on? Because I know every developer in town often has rolling deadlines to deal with their lenders and stuff. But in this case, I would find it pretty. I'd imagine it's pretty difficult to have those conversations at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, really through the blessings of God, I think that right now our collective humanity has risen to a level it has not been at before. Having conversations right now with lenders, everybody understands. Everybody understands what we're going through and is supportive. And I'm very blessed to have some good lenders right now on my project.
So there's no talk of foreclosures or getting tough on anything. It's just sort of rolling things back. Is that fair to say at this point?
Time will tell. I mean, time will tell where we're going to end up. Force majeure letters are going out right now, and there's obviously formal notifications that we're doing on our projects. But I think at the end of the day, we're one of the lucky groups. I think we're one of the lucky groups where I think that irrespective of what happens, with 45 Park Place, the condo market is extremely difficult right now. I'm very blessed with where I am right now with respect to that project, and I think that I think that there is going to be a V curve. I think that once we get to the bottom of this this pandemic that we're going through, I think that there is going to be such a pent up demand to transact that I feel that the third, fourth quarter, I mean, from your viewership right now, your viewership on The Real Deal, from what I'm reading and chatting with some friends, is at the highest levels it's ever been at. I mean, people are dying to get out and do something right now. So just imagine what's going to end up happening once we get through this, and once the citywide quarantine is released, and on a national level, I think there's just going to be an incredible pent up demand to work.
And you're having those conversations, I'd imagine, with your brokers as well, kind of keeping them motivated in a period of sort of no activity at all. I'm guessing you're having some of those conversations with the people who sell your product, right?
We are. But unfortunately, one of the side effects of this pandemic is that there's an increased level of we're disconnected from one another. I mean, this is great that we're able to do this, and I believe that cyber is going to be, that this is going to be recognized globally as the moment that cyber and digital technology, catapulted into a whole other level. I think this is also going to be a moment where we're going to really understand real estate and how it affects us, because I believe that right now this pandemic has proved to us that we might not need all this real estate, and there needs to maybe be other uses for it, because we were able to get through a lot of things without all of the space.
Right, and you're a developer. I'd imagine beyond all of this, that instinct that a developer has to just be at their sites and feel their projects, really touch the dirt in a sense. I'd imagine that's quite hard to resist.
It's beyond hard. It's beyond hard. I mean, thank God for cameras at the sites, and thank God, for being able to connect with people. But we're also building an incredible hotel in Times Square right now. We're building the first urban Margaritaville, right. Which again, by nature, I'm an optimist.
Right, but that was it was slated to open end of 2020. I'd imagine it's fair to say that's going to be pushed back.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, we had a couple of we had a very big weekend. Last weekend, we were able to get all the mechanicals up on the building, and we're going to do everything that we can to get that hotel opened up. I think that New Yorkers are going to want it. There's obviously a level of entertainment that is non-existent right now with all of the bars being closed, all of the restaurants being closed. Again, I think that there's another pent-up demand where people are going to want to be able to escape their reality, and we are essentially bringing to Times Square an escapist environment unlike anything that exists in New York. With Margaritaville, we're going to have 5 F&B outlets within the space. It's just going to be a swimming pool, and just some of the tricks that I can't wait to share with you guys once we go public with them, which are really going to re-anchor and redefine the center of Times Square to 40th and 7th Street.
I hope that all comes together quickly, and I do think there is a sense among some people. Sorry, is that your phone, Sharif? It's not me.
That's not me. Is that you?
I don't think so. It's fine.
That was weird.
I was just saying that there is a sense that, people are talking about right now that I just can't wait to get out, get to the restaurants, experience New York the way it was. And there might be a deeper appreciation for what that city has and what it offers. I hope that's the case. But I did want to ask, sort of end by asking you. So you've been through 9/11. You're a Brooklyner. You've grown up in the city. You've seen New York at its depths. Have you seen anything like this?
No, I've never seen anything like this. This is, the thing that I'm scared about. Okay, the thing that makes me nervous is that we right now have essentially been disconnected from the real world. Okay, and there are some bad habits that we are building right now. And I hope that these bad habits don't become permanent with a lot of people. There's a level of sloth, I believe, that's going around with everybody right now, and I'm guilty of it. Is where you're not running at 100 miles an hour as we're used to, and that's the one thing that I hope and pray that we figure out as a city how to get right back into business. I think that's the most important thing, that we don't rely on these handouts that are coming out, that we don't start thinking of ways of manipulating the system, that we don't take advantage right now that the courts are out. So that's what I'm scared of. I'm scared that right now we've introduced a new paradigm into this reality that we're living in right now, where there's a $2 trillion package where people want to go out and get free money, and where we're trying to figure out how to do things a little bit differently. And and that's a new reality that we've never been in, and I feel that that's the one thing that I'm nervous about.
You don't want that sort of culture to seep into the culture of New York after this is passed. This is what you're
exactly.
And what do you think about the leadership that we're getting right now? We have 3 different levels of government, let's say, right? City, state, federal, and each tier is giving us some different messaging, different policies, and there seems to be a lot of competition between our leaders when you would hope that they would all work together in some aspects. So what do you think about the kind of leadership that we're seeing right now?
I honestly think that everybody's doing the best that they can. I really believe that everybody's doing the best that they can. I think that de Blasio is an absolute disaster. Sorry. I mean, it's just a disaster.
It took you 7 years to say it, but okay, that's fine.
It's terrible. I think Governor Cuomo is presidential. I feel that he is really presidential in his outlook, in his delivery, in his transparency with his constituents. And I think that Donald Trump is trying to be sincere. I really feel that he's not letting his ego get the best of him right now, as much as he can control that. But I feel that he is being sincere in what he's doing.
Okay, we'll end it there. Sharif El-Gamal from Soho Properties. Sharif was recently diagnosed with COVID-19, but is making a full recovery. Sharif, thank you again for being with The Real Deal. This is Hitan Samtani, and we'll sign off there. Assalamu alaikum.
All the best.
Take care.